Do you care about what others think? Hi, I'm Brian Pombo. Welcome back to Brian J. Pombo Live. We get together nightly and have a little discussion regarding business concepts, but really human concepts. Then we use business as an excuse to talk about them, right? So a lot of times we'll surround the conversation with business owners or executives, people who are decision makers in their business. But if you're interested in what we're talking about, I'm glad to have you here. Today I wanted to talk about the whole concept of whether you care what other people think. And there's a very common meme or concept that gets put out over social media all over the place. I've seen it on Instagram, I've seen it on LinkedIn, I've seen it on Facebook, all these different places. And the concept behind it is, I don't care what other people think. And I get that. I understand what is trying to be said there. The thing is that presenting it that way publicly, I'm not sure if it's achieving what you want it to achieve. So I'd like you to add, if you've posted something like that, I want you to ask yourself, why? What am I hoping to get from this? The fact that you're posting something publicly about that belief shows that you do care about what other people think. Otherwise, why would you post it publicly? You'd write it somewhere privately and keep it like that. We do have to care somewhat what other people think. Now, there's a bunch of different ways you could parse this out. You could say, I don't worry about what other people think, or I don't worry about how people react to me, or I don't worry about people's opinions or feelings. There's a whole lot of ways you could talk about the same thing. But the emphasis is in a different spot there. If you say something like that, what you're really saying is you don't worry, which is I think it's something that's great to say, and it means something, and it can start a conversation about the meaning. When you say, I just don't care, well, what's that mean? You don't judge your opinions based on what other people think. What are you trying to achieve by letting everybody know that you don't care about what they think? Because in the end, life is really about knowing the right thing for you to do, and then not being concerned with how other people react to it. I totally get that. Not being worried and get yourself into the whole emotional game that everyone always finds themselves playing. I get that part. That makes a whole lot of sense. The thing is in the end though, it tends to take you full circle to the point of helping other people. People that have got their stuff together don't need to care about what other people think in order that they can care about what other people think. And in the end, it really comes down to helping other people. Life, a whole chunk of life is about helping other people. And you can't help other people if you're dependent on what they think and what they feel. So I'm not against the idea in and of itself. I think it's an okay idea. I think and it's probably an issue with English itself. English and the fact that most of us don't do real well with language that is English. We don't necessarily say things in the best way possible. But English is not an easy language because we have singular words that mean many different things and sometimes mean completely the opposite things using the same words. You know what I mean? And so when you say you don't care about someone else's thoughts, yeah, I get that on one hand. On the other hand, you need to care about where other people are at and what they're thinking, because that's how you reach them. And if you're in any type of business, which in the end ends up meaning you're going to trade something with them, your time, your effort, your money, your product, your service, you're trading something with them in exchange for something from them. Their money, their time, what have you. There's a trade-off going on. And to be able to do that, you got to know where the other person's at. You don't have to worry about where the other person's at. You don't have to get caught up in their drama. But you do need to care in a sense. You have to know where they're at. See, subtlety of words is a very careful thing that you have to watch. And you have to watch that you're not giving the wrong impression. You see, once again, I'm having to think about how my words land. I'm having to think about how the other person's taking it. You have to. That's marketing, that's business, that's communication, human communication. You got to consider these things. It's great that you're independent and you don't need other people. I get that. On the same end, we live in an interdependent society in a sense. So yes, you're self-reliant, but in the end, you do need other people for certain things if you want the most fully rounded life possible. So these are subtle concepts and the type of things that I think a lot of people, it's real easy to gloss over and to pick a side. I'm all about myself, or I'm all about the group. I'm all about being part of the group and doing what the group does. Those are two extremes that I don't think are necessary. I think there's a middle ground where you're independent, self-reliant, but at the same time, you're willing to help other people. You're willing to bring people over to your point of view. You're willing to have a little back and forth. And so that it's kind of one of these things where be careful what you post. Be careful what you're putting out there in all formats, both personally and for your business, for your organization, whatever it is that you speak through. Be very careful about what you say, because you may be giving the wrong impression. And I think that's most of the time what it is. I don't think people really mean all the negative connotations that go with what they say. I'd love to hear what you think about it. Leave a comment wherever you're watching or listening to this, or go to brianjpombo.com and leave a comment. And if you'd like to find out more about strategies that you can use within your business, which is a lot of what I focus on as a business investor, go check out my book, 9 Ways to Amazon Proof Your Business. You can go get a copy off Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com or all the other places books are sold, or you can just download a free copy, AmazonProofBook.com. All one word, AmazonProofBook.com. I'm going to be back here tomorrow night. We'll have another conversation. In the meantime, get out there and let the magic happen.